When Theo Roberts returned from national service to his family's farm in 1947, the TE20 had recently been launched. He persuaded his father to buy one and still uses the tractor today.
The TE20 we bought was the first one that came to North Wales. The first time I used the TE20, I thought it was very, very manoeuvrable, very light to operate and very convenient. Ploughing was the first job we did. The convenience of the Ferguson hydraulic system made it work much lighter than ploughing with horses. The field I'm ploughing now, with the horse, would have taken about 4 days. But with the tractor, it'll probably take me 1 day. Such stony ground, still the best tractor out.
I was, I suppose, about 11 years old when the first grey Fergie came to my home farm. But I'd learned to drive a Fordson prior to that. And, you know, I would compare the difference between the Fordson and the Ferguson as going from a steam engine to a Rolls Royce. The Fordson was heavy, clumsy. A youth of 10 or 11 just hadn't the arm power to even turn it. Whereas the Fergie was like driving a pram. It was so light to handle and so easy to turn.
Because the tractor and its system was so revolutionary, Ferguson established a training school. Here, salesmen, engineers and farmers were taught the mechanics of this new way of working. The school was at Stoneleigh Abbey, a few miles from the factory.
When we first started in Coventry, we had an educational problem because no one knew what we were doing or what the thing was about. So it was necessary to educate them and have a school to do it.
Well, Stoneleigh was the hub of the organisation. We used to travel to and fro in an old Daimler bus with fluid flywheel. We started the thing and then you waited for 20 minutes for the smoke to clear to see which end to get on, you know? But, oh, good days. We were very close. It was one big family of people with a common interest.
The main course, which takes 10 days, is divided between work in the field and in the classroom. It deals with both theory and practice. Many of the students are, of course, already familiar with the basic operations of tractor handling and driving. But others have to begin right at the beginning.
It was very important that no one got into the field to operate the thing without some sort of education. Certainly the salesmen had to be educated so they knew what they were selling in case they sold the wrong type of equipment.
They must be able, when necessary, to advise farmers on how to make the best use of tractor and implements and how to get the full advantage of their flexibility.
A network of tractor dealerships sprang up all over the country. But it was through large public demonstrations that ordinary farmers first came into contact with the new tractor.
A big demonstration involved a lot of preparation. They would put them in the autumn after the farm, normally after the farmer had finished his harvest. It was advertised in local papers and Farmers Weekly and so forth, you know. They would come along. It was a good day out. It was a gathering of farmers with a common interest.
An advert come in the paper the last fortnight in December 1947 there was a demonstration with the Ferguson tractor at Doddington, which is 11 miles from here. And I went. It was a very cold, rime frosty morning. And the only way I could get to Doddington then, which is 11 miles, I've said, was on my bicycle, so I biked. I went to the demonstration, and I was rather impressed that day, and I had a few rounds of ploughing, you see.
The whole object of the exercise was to get them interested, giving them practical demonstrations. Seeing is believing. See it working.
The centerpiece of a demonstration was cultivating the small square. This was an area 20 feet by 27 feet, too small for a horse or any other tractor to work in.
What you needed first, of course, was a coil of rope and 5 posts. Now the object is to back in through the gateway to the far corner and make 5 runs, and then drive out of the gateway, reverse back in, drive out again to erase your wheel marks.
Until the demonstration at Doddington that I went, I had never driven anything, whatever, a car, tractor or anything, so that was my first time.
I think they were heroes, a lot of these farmers, because they had no idea of gears, they had no idea of changing their gears, the pedals, brakes, and clutches, the hydraulic controls.
We make sure that the driver is conversant with all the controls, and then he tries his hand at driving for the first time.
Ferguson's service was extensive. When farmers bought a TE20, the dealer came with it to make sure they knew what they were doing.
I'm one of the many thousands who farm the Ferguson way. It isn't just a case of being sold a tractor and then leaving it at that. It's the kind of service we get afterwards that's important to us chaps.
It was my job to see that they thoroughly understood the operation of the tractor and the equipment that they had bought. And when you were completely happy that they weren't going to kill themselves, then I got them to sign an installation certificate.
A lot of people laughed at me because I had L plates on the tractor. I'd put in for a license and a driving test, you see, then, and I ploughed in the field with L plates on them. They thought that a bit funny, but I didn't mind.
Wesley passed his test first time. He has been farming with the same TE20 he bought in 1947 ever since.
When we got the tractor, it was like a new world. I mean, a lot of people said that when you had a tractor, you've got to keep one horse to do work what the tractor couldn't do. Of course, the Ferguson system cut that all out. That would do everything that a horse could do, quicker and better. The Fergusons, well, I think one of their adverts was farm better, farm faster, farm Ferguson. That was perfectly true. You could farm better.
When I sat on this little seat, I thought to myself, well, here I am. I've contributed to creating an empire.
The TE20 dominated the market. None of Ferguson's competitors had anything to match it. By 1951, the factory had reached peak production, building 325 tractors a day, 74,000 in that year alone.
At one time, it was called the Grey Menace by some of the other tractor manufacturers because they were selling more Fergusons than any other make, I should think.
Ferguson had always intended that farmers all over the world should benefit from his system. By the mid-1950s, the TE20 was being used in over 160 countries.
70% of the 74,000 tractors turned out by Ferguson's last year were exported. These tractors are now working at all sorts of jobs in many different countries.
As tractor sales grew, so did the sales of implements. Only Ferguson tools would fit the integrated system, and a whole new range of farm machinery had to be developed for the TE20.
Ploughing's only one job on the farm. An agricultural machine worth its petrol must do all the others too, better than a horse
or a mechanical horse. A horse can't saw up logs. The tractor can, and dig post holes. There are 20 tools for 20 different jobs the tractor can do. Efficient mechanization has come to the farm.
It wasn't just simply the tractor that had the big impact. The tractor was the prime mover. But as well as introducing the tractor, Ferguson introduced a complete range of implements for the tractor. And they were all incorporated with the hydraulic lift system of the tractor. And that was really what took all the slavery out of farming.